So, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to MasterPrac. MasterPrac is a platform where we believe in sharing tips, techniques, and to-dos that every participant can experiment as soon as they walk out of this session. We do not want to make it boring by having lectures. Thus, it is only tip-based, and we want each of our participants to enjoy whatever we are doing. And today we have with us Sunil Koshiji. He's a techie turned singer, music director, and a vocal coach. He's the founder of From Mug to Mic, a platform for bathroom singers, and has trained over 8,000 bathroom singers and amateur singers around the country and around the world as well. He quit his job as a compiler developer in Intel to learn music in a Gurukulam in Chennai for 3 years. Later, he also worked with companies like HP, Unisys, HCL, pursuing music as well as his IT job parallelly. And then later on, he finally quit his IT job and chose music, his passion, as his final career. He's worked with legends like Hari Haran ji, K.S. Chitra ji, Kumar Sanu ji, and many other top musicians and lyricists around the country. He's composed music and sung for movies, albums, dance, dramas, and has also acted in a couple of cameos of South Indian movies. He's an award winning musician and singer and has been featured and interviewed on most leading newspapers, TV, radio, and other media, including CNN, IBN, The Times of India, Economic Times, The Hindu, Your Story, amongst the many. It is our pleasure to have you here, Sunil Koshikji, and the stage is all yours now. So thank you so much for being on MasterPrac and looking forward to your amazing presentation.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me over. Brain Rhyme and MasterPrac. I think it's amazing. I think it's very overwhelming and humbling to see that there are already world record holders. So I don't claim any world records, but I think it's amazing. I mean, at least to be invited to such a platform. And yeah, the topic I chose is definitely not going to be a lecture. It's something that's close to each one of our hearts. It's basically trying to understand why we need a hobby, or if you don't have a hobby, how do you find out what's your hobby? How do you take it probably to the next level? Maybe we know our hobbies, but then we are stuck. We either don't have time. None of us have time, right? We're all too busy. Even if it's lockdown, I guess we don't have time because we're working round the clock. I'm sure there are a lot of reasons. I know of a lot of corporate friends who are working round the clock and are under a lot of stress. There's also no maids coming in. So I'm sure everybody also needs to do their bit of homework, housework, and all that. But I think it is all the more important in these times. I think these times have probably stressed the importance of why all of us need to have something beyond what we are just supposed to do. I think in school we are asked to focus only on studies. If you're good in sports or you're good in singing or dance or something, I mean, maybe you can pursue it till your high school or something, but beyond that, I'm sure a lot of parents wouldn't encourage. At least that's how it has been for the last couple of decades when we were growing. Though I hope it's a little different now. I see a lot of youngsters pursuing different things, cool things. So basically, if you a hobby or something you like to do can be unconventional. So when I started this platform for bathroom singers, I think it sounded silly. Yeah. So the first response is probably a laugh, it's like, what, bathroom singers? It's funny. And it's kind of cool because I think there's nobody who doesn't sing in the bathroom, right? So though this just started as an idea, because I realized almost everyone is a bathroom singer. and bathroom singers were not given their due share. And hence, I'll tell you more about my journey and how I discovered my calling, and then eventually switched from programming, writing programs, computer programs, working in tech companies on cutting edge technologies, and just singing, just doing what I love the most. And talking of benefits of hobbies, I think it's probably got all the good things. A hobby is something that is close to your heart. I think each person has their own favorite set of things. Somebody may love reading, somebody might like to sing. See, it need not be that you're exceptionally good at something. Okay, it just means that you probably are fascinated by something. So as a kid, I loved listening to music. I loved listening to songs, and I didn't know if I was talented. I just started singing, and then I explored singing on school stages, and then it eventually went into singing on college stage, my engineering college days, and then after my engineering, I started working, and even there, I did a little bit of singing, and that's how I started with my hobby. Though I did not formally get trained in the beginning. Okay, now why am I saying this? Okay, I was born and raised in Abu Dhabi, UAE, where there wasn't much scope for learning the Indian kind of music those days. It's kind of a limited Indian social circle, so you don't get really teachers like the way you do in India. Though these days it's a lot different. And then when I first went to a teacher, or when is for most of you to understand that you don't get discouraged by what somebody tells you. If you believe this is something that you love, then let no one come in your way. I think this has to be something that you write it very boldly, or mark these words. If you love something, I think you deserve to do it. You deserve to explore it. You deserve to take it to the next level, no matter what comes in the way. So the best thing my dad did then was, I was a little boy. I was in about 6th or 7th, and my dad said, please stop learning from this teacher. And I think I learned one of the biggest lessons. And later on, when I became a coach, I think that is one thing that I always keep in mind, not to discourage anyone. So we all would probably be at different levels of capabilities, or different levels of learning skills. It can be in any field. It can be music, it can be writing, it can be any sport. It is not that we are born with exceptional skills and we just go on to do some great things. All these skills, of course, they need a little bit of interest. It all starts with that interest, right? It's how do we identify hobbies? It's when as a kid you draw a picture, or you color, and then your parents or your friends or some family friends say, wow, well, you colored so well, wow, you draw so well. Of encouragement that on to the next job. And it's a continuous rat race. There's work pressure, there's the pressure of finding a new job, the pressure of getting more pay, getting settled into a better job, and then your family pressure of getting settled down. You get married, you have your kids, build your home, buy your car and all that. So there is the space for all in all this for hobbies. Generally not. So that is the reason why when I look at a lot of my friends, they are either stressed out or they are bored. Yeah. Doesn't it sound too familiar? A lot of people are stressed out. And then when it's weekend, suddenly they're bored. I know of friends who wake up lazily. Maybe they're just lazy, just reading the paper, or they're waiting for some party to happen. Of course, not these days, the pre-lockdown days. I know we are all waiting for some party now. So it's either some party or you just laze at home and you don't know what to do. But if you ask me, I've actually very rarely felt bored or lonely. That's probably because I'm always busy doing something around what I love the most, which of course started as a hobby and then eventually gave way to become a kind of madness. That hobby developed into passion, and then it became a kind of madness, and then it became something that I do full time. So when I started working, I formally started learning music. This is a little bit about my journey. I started learning music. I started going to a teacher. I started learning some basics of singing. So is it important to learn? Okay, like I said, you may be at different levels in your particular skill or in your hobby. Yeah, but is it important to learn? Of course, it depends on how far you want to take it and what you want to do with your hobby. So I decided to learn. I felt there is probably a lot of stuff that I don't know. I just sang just like that, and there was no formal training. I did not know whether I was really good. I actually thought I was really good those days. And then when I started getting the real kind of formal training, I realized that I was not good. I realized I lacked a lot of basics. Okay, so this came as a shocker because I thought I was good. I was kind of the most popular singer in school and college and all that. So I thought, I just needed to get in there and I just needed a break and I would start doing good. But then once I got into serious stuff, once I started learning seriously and working with professionals, I realized that I had to learn a lot. And then it began from scratch. I started learning basics. This was a huge blow. Okay, I had to either drop it there or, maybe think, okay, it was just a hobby that maybe I'm not good and I just give it up. But then I decided, let me put in my best and see what I can do. And after working for about 2-3 years, I worked for Intel, which was kind of a dream job for any techie. I quit my job to go to a Gurukul. So this was probably one of the craziest things that a techie or anybody with a good job could do. When I resigned, my senior HR manager asked me, so which company are you going to? Because for somebody with about 3-4 years of experience, Intel was too good. And he was curious to know which company I was going to. So I told him, no, I'm going to learn music. I'm going to a Gurukul in Chennai. And then I packed my bags. I went to Chennai. I spent my whole day just learning and singing. So this was because my hobby grew into a kind of passion, a kind of madness. And then I couldn't think of anything else. I just realized I have to learn and not regret many years later. A lot of people tell me this. So now when I started doing workshops, a lot of people tell me, wish I could also do that. Okay, but after I finish all my EMIs or after I settle down. So believe me that settling down probably never happens totally. right? We're always moving from one thing to the other. And after my Gurukul stint for about 3 years, I came back to IT. So why did I come back to IT? Because I actually ran out of all my resources. I ran out of money. So this is not like a dream story that you leave everything and then you suddenly make it big. Like they say, success looks from outside like a straight line, but then the journey of success is usually very rugged. There are a lot of lows, there are a lot of highs. Probably people from outside only see what comes out. They don't see the days that there's no paycheck, the days that you're frustrated when you're pursuing something and you don't get it, you don't get recognized, you lose money, you get into all kinds of trouble because you're just lost. You have no clue. You don't know where you're heading also. So after that, I came back to IT. I started working for a few companies. And then I started parallelly doing my learning music, and also I started working on albums. I started working for music albums. I started assisting music directors. I started assisting for some films. And in the process, I got to work with and meet some of the biggest names in the industry. So this was a big turning point, because if you really love something and you want to take it to the next level, you should start interacting with people who are better than you. Yeah. So it's very easy to remain in that comfort zone. So if I say I write, and then I just write and I just put it in my book, or I just share it only with my friends. So the same thing happened to me when I sang. I would sing just in front of my friends, and of course for your friends you're always great. But then the moment you step out into the real world. Maybe it's a school level or a college level or a corporate level kind of a competition. You see that there is a lot more talent out there. Hence, it's very important to keep yourself challenged and exposed to a bigger level of competency. People who are better than you. If you write, try to probably write and get your work shared. Get critical responses from people who are good in the field. And that way you will at least start understanding how good or bad you are. All right. And the biggest plus in developing a new hobby is that there are always new learning techniques associated with a new hobby. For example, I sing, I also do a little bit of writing. I try to play a few instruments. I tried playing the piano. I tried to learn the violin. I tried to learn tabla and different instruments. So I have tried my hand at a lot of things. What I realized is that in each of these skills, so when it's learning piano, the way you use both your hands are very different. This is a totally new skill that you have to develop. That when you start learning, probably it looks like impossible, because your right hand fingers move in a particular fashion and the left hand fingers move in a very different way. That is why they say when you learn a music instrument or when you learn singing, you develop areas of the brain that are generally not used. If you look at a lot of great celebrities, for example, are Abdul Kalam sir. How many of you knew that he could play an instrument? Okay, if you have read, you would know that he practiced playing the veena. It looks very unlikely, right? I mean, somebody who is such a big person, a scientist, president. I mean, why would he play the veena? If in a normal family, if you tell you want to learn the veena or you want to learn singing, they'll ask you, what's wrong with you? Why don't you focus on your job? I mean, why don't you try to do some certification or try to crack a new interview and get a better paycheck? Will your hobby really fetch you some money? I mean, why don't you why don't you invest that in that time and money in something else? Why do you want to go and learn something now? But I think in life, there are a lot more things beyond your paycheck. I mean, what do you do with the paycheck? If you don't have, if you don't experience that sheer joy of doing something that you love, something that you create on your own. Yeah. When I have created a song, I remember the first time I recorded a song, I couldn't sleep because that kind of joy was probably far beyond the biggest paycheck that I had got. Of course, nothing can replace a paycheck. You need money, you need cards to swipe and buy things that you like. But I'm talking of those thrills, or you say that kick. Yeah, but in life, when something gives you a kick, you know that this is probably something that I like, and that kick, I think we will need to explore within ourselves. For somebody, it may be drawing. For somebody, it may be singing. For somebody, it may be dancing. Something that you can just, something that's really close to your heart. Something that you can go on and on doing without feeling bored. Yeah. So when you develop a new hobby and when you start learning them, okay, for example, like I said, when you learn piano, you learn to use your two hands differently. When you learn to play the violin, so like I said, I've tried my hand at all these things to understand how difficult it is to play. Because when we watch somebody playing the piano, we feel, wow, I can also just do that in a few days, start playing popular film songs and all that. But when you start learning, you will see that the initial learning curve is very steep. That is the reason there are a lot of keyboards and guitars lying in a lot of homes. I'm sure you have seen guitars and keyboards lying in a lot of homes. So I also have a couple of guitars and some instruments that I don't really play, but I've tried to play. When you play the violin, the way you use your fingers to hold the notes, and you bow with the bow. If you don't know how to put the right kind of pressure, the sound can be very bad. It can be a very bad creaking sound. If somebody is trying to play the flute, you will know that even to produce a note out of blowing on through the flute is very difficult. You cannot even produce a note or any kind of good sound. So you need to master blowing techniques. You will need to develop breath. You will need to develop breathing skills. If you've heard of Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia, yeah, he's the greatest flautist of India. His dad was a wrestler, and he wanted him to become a wrestler. Okay, he would apparently be going to the wrestling classes, but would slip out and go to learn the flute. Okay, but his wrestling skills also helped him in playing the flute, because the kind of stamina and breath control you develop in wrestling helped him in his flute playing techniques. So you also see that when you are learning a particular thing, you develop some skills which are not probably directly related, but associated with them. So for a singer, you will also need to develop good breath control. Okay, so hence you may need to do some things like pranayama. You may need to do things like breath control. You will need to do some kind of physical activities. There are a lot of singers who also get into sports. Pandit Bhimsen Joshi, if you follow classical music, he used to play football. We wouldn't actually think, somebody like him would do that. A lot of great singers need to do these things to develop their singing skills. Similarly, if you have to write, if you want to write well, you will need inspiration. You will need to read a lot of books. You will need to watch inspiring speeches. You will need to talk to people who are more well-read than you. So I would do that. I would talk to people who who are really well read, or musicians who knew a lot more than me. I would try to hang around with them. This actually inspires you. It shows you that the benchmark is there. Otherwise, like I said, if you only do it within your friends, you think I'm good, and then the bar that you set becomes very low. The other very important thing in probably every aspect of life is discipline. Okay, very commonly heard word, but I think I'm only realizing what is discipline probably in the very recent times, because we generally do things when we want and when the mood is in. Yeah. So when I'm doing singing the whole day, I mean, I know singing is good, but then I have to do my riyaz. Okay, the riyaz, or the long hours of practice. It is singing is not always recording in the studio and jamming with musicians and performing on stage. It is also so many hours of practice all alone. When you sit all alone, you wake up early in the morning when probably everybody else is sleeping, and it's a nice cold winter morning, and you just want to snooze your alarm and you want to sleep. It means that if I have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I will have to sleep before 10, which means I cannot stay up late and watch my favorite, finish my Family Man series, which I've been putting off for the last few days. I mean, it's a tough call between something that gives you that instant happiness. I mean, I wish I can finish all the series, but I in fact started watching it only after a few days, and then the first day I watched only for 15 minutes because I decided I have to sleep before 10. So I think that's tough, right? It is difficult to do something like that every day. And when you're developing a new skill and you are learning something seriously, you will need to put in that kind of effort. If you have heard of Winston Churchill. So Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister, Britain Prime Minister, one of the toughest guys. So I was just reading that he went to sleep at 3 a.m. Okay, he loved to write. He was a great speaker, and I don't know if you know that he won Nobel Prize for Literature for his writing. Imagine if one of the busiest prime ministers, during world wars, he could handle that kind of stress and pressure, could write so much that he won Nobel Prize for his hobby, apparently hobby. So hobby, which probably became very something that he really invested in, that took him to the level of a professional. To win a Nobel Prize is something, I think, out of something that we could ever even think of. And he, not just that, he also painted. He was an amazing artist. He's painted, I think, hundreds of works, and he's even had exhibitions for his paintings. So when the normal people like us claim that 24 hours is not enough, so I think it's really food for thought. How do these most busiest people, or people who have such key positions, I mean, probably some of the most important people in the world, how do they find time? So when you start putting in more things in your basket, you will actually find time for everything. Of course, you need to have priorities. Otherwise, it's only in the wish list. It's like, wish I could play the guitar. Wow, it's so cool to hold the guitar and play. But that wish will remain a wish for many years. I'm sure we all have long wish lists. But if you decide that okay, today, or you decide for tomorrow or the next week or the next month, I'm going to develop a particular thing, a particular skill, and then you will have to set aside some time, at least 15 minutes or half an hour or 1 hour. In fact, a great tip that I would like to give here is to start small. And this is one of the biggest mistakes I did when I started learning singing. Okay, because with a very busy corporate job, and end of the day, you just want to crash. You just want to either hang out with some friends, party, and then go to sleep. You just want to unwind. And then the morning you're running back to work. So it was very difficult to find time for something like practice. And I would dream of practicing for many hours, but end up not doing it at all. And then one day I realized, let me incorporate a small time slot and make it a part of my ritual. Something like as important as brushing my teeth. Something that probably I don't skip. Or for people who do puja, or you say a prayer, you have your bath, you have your breakfast. So it should be something that becomes a part of your schedule. And then I decided I will spend at least 15 minutes for my singing. That's how I built in that kind of a discipline. I have not been a very disciplined person, though there was a lot of madness, but there was, like you say, you try to put a method to that madness. Because if it's only madness, then I think that energy gets dissipated. You will have to put a certain structure, you will have to put a method, you will have to put, I think Brain Rhyme probably talks about all that. Learning methodologies. You can want to learn everything, but that unless you have certain techniques, unless you give it a format, unless there's a structure, it doesn't happen. And then I incorporated 15 minutes of practice. I said 15 minutes after I have my bath, it's like probably doing a prayer or a puja. I will come and sit in a particular place. So I bought a new carpet, and I had a separate room for my practice. And that space was only for my singing and for my practice. So it becomes, when I look at it, it reminds me that, I need to practice. So it is good that if you have a hobby, say if you like to write, or you like to sing, or you like to do some music, it is good that you try to allot a particular time of the day and a particular space, something that will trigger your brain saying that, okay, now this is the time that I have to do this. And then when you're doing this, you also tell people around you. It can be your partner, it can be your family, your parents, your siblings, that now this is my space and my time. Yeah. In a way, probably initially it is difficult. It's difficult to say, when your brother or your parents, they call you out for something, or they say, you don't spend time with us. But then once you get over that initial challenge, once you start giving yourself that time and space, you will see that actually inspires even other people in the family and people around. I'll tell you why. Because in my workshops, I've seen, especially because of the lockdown, we have been doing only online sessions, as you all know. And a lot of people have told me that somebody else in the family has also started picking up something else related to music. So there is a scientist, somebody who's in a very important position. He said, once I started practicing, my son got back to his guitar and started practicing. There's another mother who said her daughter started singing. So this, I think, can be a very infectious and a good change that you can probably spread. I think it's a good inspiration that you can show people. Maybe initially they may complain that, oh, you don't spend enough time, or you don't socialize. But I think once you start setting aside that time for yourself, it also encourages them. It will probably inspire them to do the same thing or pick up something that really they love. And like I said, pursuing a hobby, okay, either you sing or you play an instrument or you dance, or it can be mimicry, or you're a good actor, you can act, play. It can be anything. You automatically make a lot of friends. Yeah. What do you think? So I have seen that. So right from school, thanks to Facebook and all social media, I have a lot of school friends who have connected with me because they have seen me singing. I mean, that's really nice. It's so nice that those days, even before video CDs, the days of video cassette, some of them tell me that they have a video cassette of me performing, and that's so nice. Some of them have shared that on social media as well. I mean, that's so nice. Some of them are much junior to you, some of them are your seniors, but because you were known for a particular skill, you are known in your juniors and in your seniors. Now, come to college days. This is something very funny, but I think it drives down a point. There was a very strict physics teacher that we had. Okay. And he was known to be a terror. He had this cat eyes, and he was a terror. And me, like I said, not being the disciplined one, and especially in engineering days, I had way too much fun that studies really took the lowest priority probably. And when he saw me perform on stage, he started becoming friends with me so much that in a viva, he, instead of asking me physics questions, he asked me about music. I'm not saying this will work with everyone, but it goes on to show that how developing a particular hobby, a skill, can also help you to make friends cuts across borders. And when it's singing or music, I think it connects with people like anything. I'll tell you examples from some of my students who pursue singing as a passion, as a serious hobby. Okay, they're all very busy people. It's not that they are free and they have all the time in the world. There's a very busy doctor who runs his own clinic, but who finds time for his practice, who finds time for his singing. And through our platform, he could release his own albums. He released an album which was played at various platforms, because of which he also got to perform on different stages. There's another corporate software engineer who works for a big company, who got featured on the company's internal portal, which makes them a little more popular than they would regularly be. And when there are fun activities, they are automatically called. So there's a lot of social connection that happens. You connect with people across ranks. You connect with juniors, you connect with even the top directors. And another very interesting thing was that a director at Intel who had recruited me, who did the final round of my interview when I got into Intel, after a few years enrolled to a workshop of mine. So he likes singing, and I think that was something which, there are some moments that you feel like, wow. And then he appreciated, and he said, I've seen the way you came up and the way you have grown. You've made your passion your career or your profession. So these are some moments that make you feel that the journey's been worthwhile. Now, how do you develop a hobby? Yeah, for maybe people out here who either have a hobby or you're trying to find a hobby. I know some people who say, I don't think I have a hobby, or I don't think I'm exceptionally good at something. The first thing, like I said, is you don't need to be exceptionally good at something. You just need to really love something that you really love doing. It can be writing. It can be you're fond of the guitar, or you're fond of a particular instrument. You like to dance, but maybe you don't know to dance. You can always start. I would recommend that you find a good teacher. It is really important. If you want to take your hobby to the next level, it is very important that you find a tutor, a guru, or a teacher, so that you understand scientifically how music is. If it's music or if it's dance, you understand what are the different forms of dance, and you choose to master or specialize in one form to start with. Similarly, in music, so we have South Indian music, we have Hindustani or North Indian music, we have Western, we have pop, we have jazz, we have blues. There are different forms of music. Maybe sometimes we don't know. Yeah, it's important to look around. I understand when I started singing, probably I was confused. I didn't know what to learn. But it is important to start somewhere or talk to people who are already learning. Make friends with people who are already learning music, who are already doing something. And start somewhere. It doesn't matter where you start. Actually, a lot of time is wasted trying to make the perfect start. You don't actually, there's nothing like a perfect start or a perfect journey. Like I said, it's always very rugged, and there are some highs and there are some lows. It's only important to start somewhere, and you will figure out in due course. And this learning, unlearning keeps happening throughout. There are things that I've learned maybe 20 years back, which I'm relearning again, because now after 15 or 20 years of singing, I have probably gone a lot deeper. And then when I look back at those basics, it gives me a very fresh perspective. So learning, getting back to basics, looking at them again, moving on to the next level, I think this is something that keeps happening forever. And once you start learning, thanks to internet and a lot of lovely platforms that we have these days, I think it's also very easy to showcase. So if you've heard of influencers or people who, YouTubers, right? YouTubers, the vloggers, the bloggers, I think it's full of them. Yeah, right from cooking to biking or singing or composing or anything. I think you name it, gardening, anything. You want to create a podcast, you want to become an RJ, you want to become a speaker. I think there are platforms now to showcase all of that. So once you start learning, like I said, start small. Once you start learning the basics, it is also important to test the waters. Take part in small contests. Try to showcase at small gatherings. So I don't say no to any kind of showcasing. When I started, when people say, sing for a small program, I was like, it's okay, because every platform to showcase is very important. There have been platforms where there were hardly any people. There was a show where I had to perform, and this was a business meeting. The business meeting was over and cocktail and dinner was announced, which was in a separate hall, and we had to perform in the main garden space. Me with some of the best musicians here, we were all set to perform, and almost the whole of the crowd walked into the cocktail space. Think how demotivating or demoralizing it could be for an artist. But then you don't let that affect you. You just perform. There were a few people, and then eventually when the show went on, a lot of people actually came up. So there can be a lot of occasions, there can be many instances where your morale is just crushed, or when somebody tells you, no, you're not good at this, why don't you just stop doing this, or why are you doing this? Or there are instances where sometimes you start doubting your own credibility. You start thinking, am I really good? Okay, but believe me, this is all part of every learning journey. As long as you keep at it, as long as you spend that 15 minutes or 20 minutes or half an hour every day, as long as you're enjoying that time, that's like your me time. So when I sing, it's like, you can call it spiritual, you can call it connecting with yourself, you can call it probably the highest state of meditation. For me, meditation is something as simple as being connected with yourself, exploring yourself. It's a journey within, or maybe you connect with a supreme force, you connect with God. I think when you're exploring a hobby, when you're spending time with yourself to discover yourself, to bring out the creative best in you, I think that's where you find bliss. That's something like a divine experience. And once you have started exploring different platforms, maybe YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, you will see that you also get to connect with different people. Don't miss out on chances to perform or showcase your your hobby or your talent in front of people. It can be all little steps that take you there. When I started my workshop, I really didn't have a journey ahead of me. This was when we got married. Archana, my wife, and me, we got married, and I just said, we let's do something like this. Let's do a workshop. Let's just do one workshop and probably see, people might like it. If it doesn't click, that's fine. I mean, we'll not do anymore. But then what happened was probably something we never imagined. We before the workshop started, in fact, we were interviewed by Bangalore Mirror, and the day we were supposed to have our first workshop, morning 6:30 onwards, we started getting so many phone calls, because Bangalore Mirror had featured us on that Saturday, and we were out of slots. I mean, we already had 2 workshops for that day, and we had to tell them it's closed, and people were asking us for the next workshops, and we had to book the studios well into 2-3 months in advance. And we were really not entrepreneurs. We were both from a techie, corporate kind of background. We learned things like, how do you take care of database? How do you I think any entrepreneur will understand that. How do you answer phone calls? How do you make a note of what people want? How do you take note of phone numbers? Those were all just scribbled initially. We didn't know what to do, but then eventually all that madness got some kind of a form. And then over the last 8 years, it's been 8 years, we have done more than 500 workshops. We have collaborated with great names like Kumar Sanu, Hariharan, all Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan winners, K.S. Chitra. We work with some of the best studios in Bombay. We have done events abroad. We have trained over 8,000 students. We have released more than a couple of dozen original music videos. We do a lot of covers. We do a lot of shows. And I think the journey is exciting, because every day is fresh, and every morning we wake up with at least 10 new ideas. So I think that's the best thing when that happens, when you're pursuing your hobby or when you're living your passion. And probably most of the leading papers and radio stations, TV, social media have featured us as a very different success story, a very different platform, which also helped people to explore beyond themselves. Because I think Bathroom Singer is very symbolic. I think it's similar to every amateur in every field. It's like, you're an artist, you draw, but you're not sure of yourself. You don't have that confidence. So if you ask somebody, they say, no, I'm a bathroom singer. That's because you lack that confidence and you think you're not good. So you just sing in your space. Yeah. Or I just draw, or I just do something, but it's just in my space. But believe me, if you take one step to take it a little beyond that, and a step at a time, you invest a little time every day, I'm sure that journey itself is going to be fulfilling. After a certain point of time, it's not important what you achieve. I think it becomes a very very interesting kind of journey. It's spiritual, or it's like, connecting with yourself. And for me, when I'm learning music or when I do workshops, it's more like exploring myself. It's not that, okay, now after doing 1,000 workshops, what will I do next? That will eventually happen. I mean, it's just magical. It just unfolds every day. Every day something new just unfolds. It's just that you will start enjoying every minute of what you're doing. And I think that is the essence of having a hobby. The next time you enjoy doing something, or you wish I could do this, I think that's your hobby. If you haven't realized what is your calling or what is your hobby, I think you will need to develop on that. And for people who are already doing some kind of a hobby in some amateur way, probably you should try to take it to the next level. You may think, I'm not that good, but it's okay, little steps, and you never know, that may get you a little paycheck also sometime. Yeah, we're not doing everything for paychecks, believe me. I mean, I don't do everything for paychecks, but then it might clear some of your bills. It might help you to buy something. It might help you to buy a guitar. It might help me to buy a piano, something that I like. It's like you invest in yourself. It might help you to buy some fancy things that you like, or it might help you to clear some bills. I think it's a very interesting journey when you explore your hobby. I've tried to list some of the benefits that I've experienced. People talk of stress buster. What do you do to break your stress and all that? But believe me, if you have a hobby, you will not talk of stress. Yeah, once you're working, you can easily switch to a hobby. You can just break into a song, you can just break into a dance, or in your free time you can start writing, you can do something. Your mind switches from one mode to another. A teacher of mine had told me earlier, she said, rest is change of work for me. And that's what I also read about Winston Churchill. I mean, that those days I failed to understand that. So Winston Churchill also says, so when it's not work, when he's writing, writing his books, or when he's painting, so it's like switching from one form of work. You're just switching, that becomes entertainment. And then the break that you got from here and the learning that you got from here, you will actually be able to use it here, than just taking time off and relaxing or watching TV. I'm not saying that's bad. We also need some time to do nothing. But when you pursue a hobby, the kind of relaxation, the way you use your brain differently is definitely very, very powerful. I would recommend, strongly urge every one of you to have multiple hobbies. In fact, Winston Churchill said every good man should have at least 2 or 3 hobbies that he pursues seriously. So we're not talking of just one hobby. Yeah, I think I've tried to convey what I could. Hope it wasn't a boring lecture.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an eye-opening session. A quick question it's the time for our audience now to ask them questions. So the floor is open for all our audiences now. Any questions, feel free to ask right away.
Sir, as I mentioned, I'm Chandramohan here. Yes, I do have I do practice singing, but again, what I want to ask is like, is there any particular type of food that we should consume or we should not consume? Because normally what happens is sometime I have this throat which if I keep practicing many times, it gives away. So is there a food habit I should have, or I should avoid fried food, or one is that? And then again, yes, I am 45, and then somehow I had left all this singing and then this thing to a back seat, and then had not taken, and then I only concentrated on my professional career, because his family requirement was very much there. Now that I have reached a stage, I now started taking up Carnatic class in Udemy, and then I have completed that. And then again, I keep singing in one or the other occasions again. But yes, I have not excelled in everything, but at least, as you're telling, one step at a time, I'm just taking it. And I'm really enjoying it.
Thank you, Chandra Mohan, for sharing that. So I'll try to answer a couple of questions that you asked. One is regarding food and singing. Well, like I said, discipline goes hand in hand with any kind of hobby or anything that you're trying to excel. When it comes to food, there are some general rules that we follow. It's that you try to refrain eating or drinking very cold things, maybe a lot of fried or oily food. These are the general things. But then there are a lot of great singers who actually eat and drink cold stuff. I know a lot of legends who do that. But that is because their practice, the way they have cultured and developed their vocal cords, has been so powerful that they understand how much of it they can indulge in. So it is important for each person to understand what his or her body can take. So I don't generally indulge in cold drinks or cold stuff as such, but once in a while, that's okay. It's important to
Yes.
understand, listen to your body, and see whether it works. Maybe if it's a very cold day and then you go out in the cold, you drink a cold drink, maybe all of that together might trigger. And then when I
Yes.
have recordings or a show, I try to refrain from oily stuff or cold stuff, because that oily kind of food can make you clear your throat like that. So it's good to have something less oily, and more importantly is to have done a basic kind of warm up. I think that warm up is important in everything, whether it's dance or singing or anything that you're about to perform. It's important to be mentally and physically prepared before you have that act.
Yes.
And it's
Thank
never
you.
late. I understand, like I said, everybody is busy with family and the regular work pressure, but if you can find some time, sometime every day, then I'm sure you will start seeing results.
Yes.
You can
And
stay connected with me also.
yes, I'll do that, sir. I'll take this thing. And at the same time, is it necessary that one should have a basic knowledge of the singing? Like, do we have to have the Carnatic and other background to take up the regular? Because normally what we try to sing is when to do a time pass, when we are having get together or something like that. We don't take it to a mainstream. So it is necessary that you should have that strong foundation, only then you should try singing, or you can get into practicing that and then get away with that only.
Yeah. So like you said, if it's just for hobby kind of singing, just to sing for your friends, it might okay be to just sing the way you are. But if you want to get better, okay, now that's the catch. If you want to sound better after 6 months, okay, I think just this morning I put up a video on Facebook and Insta saying, this was when I was doing my morning practice. So I said, when I look back, at a recording that is a few months old, I feel that I was a lot worse than I am now, which is a good thing because I have improved over the last few months. If you do not learn, then probably you have the risk of getting stuck at the same level. And probably after 5 years or 10 years, you will really feel bad that, wish I had, I should have done something more. Yeah. Because when you're okay at something, it is good to be a little better, right? So if you can
Yes.
speak well, why not speak in front of thousands of people? If you can sing to a crowd of 10, 15 people, why not perform in front of thousands of people? So I think that's always the next step.
So again,
It
if
is,
it is not,
if you ask me, I'm a person who always believes in a lot of learning. And Arnold Schwarzenegger said, I'm not a self-made man. He said, because I take help of experts in every field. And I think that's so powerful. We like to say that, I'm self-made. I'm not self-made. I take help of a lot of gurus. In any field that I look at, the problem is that we refuse to ask for help. We think we are self-sufficient and I'll somehow manage, I'll just try to do. But believe me, singers like Mohammad Rafi or Yeshdas or SPB or Hariharan or Sonu Nigam, Shreya Ghoshal, they have put in hours and decades of practice. But we just look at them like they are God gifted.
yes.
And they just do that. When Picasso drew a picture, I think in a few seconds, somebody asked, why do you charge so much? He said, because it took me decades to do that in a few seconds.
Yes.
So I think anything that you want to excel. So I think you should ask yourself, if you're okay with your kind of singing, if you're okay with your level of expertise in any field, maybe I write, but I aspire to write a book someday. So that is something that I think of, I love to write. Maybe I want to share my experiences in the form of a book. So then that's maybe the benchmark I'm setting. And then maybe I need more help. I maybe need to connect with, I already have friends who write. So I have musicians who work with Rahman, who work with Ilayaraja. I'm connected with people like that. So then, you watch them, you observe them, you see what they are doing. Yeah, that's how you push yourself. You raise your bar high for yourself. It's all about that. It's like if you say this is okay for me, then it's fine. If you raise the bar for yourself and say no, I'm not going to go below this, then I think it's a personal calling.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
are we are running out of time, Rajvi? I just saw your message.
Yeah, we've crossed 8 minutes, but if our audience is okay with it, then I don't think we have no problems with that.
But we want
Any
to hear
oth-
him.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Do we have any other questions before I request her to sing a couple of lines for us? Any other questions from any other participant in the room?
Sunil, this is Sujit here. May I ask a question, please?
Sure, sir. Please go ahead. The floor is
Oh,
all
hi,
yours.
Sujit.
Hi.
Hi, Sujit is a friend.
Okay.
Hi, Sujit.
So,
Thank you for
hi.
joining.
So Sunil, I have other way around question. So my question is that suppose you already have a bunch of hobbies, and you know how it becomes in you yourself are a techie, and these areas tend to get quite competitive and sometimes even political, and people are kind of
Politics is there
eager to-
everywhere.
Yeah.
Believe
Okay.
me.
Yeah. Sure. And people are ready to pounce on you, and sometimes a remark that I have repeatedly heard is that when they, let's say, hear me singing or draw a picture or something like that, one of the comments, and I find it very mean, they say, "You are in a wrong profession, Sujit. You should have been a cartoonist. You should have been a singer." So sometimes it is probably said in an innocent manner, but sometimes I do see a lurking meanness in that. Basically, it's a way of also saying that you are a better cartoonist than let's say a researcher or a teacher. So the question I wanted to ask you is, there is a political angle to having a hobby, a non-trivial hobby, and getting known by that. So have you experienced that, and what has been your experience in that, and how do you handle that kind of situation?
So you're talking of, I totally understand what you're saying. So you're saying when you are in a profession and then you also do something else.
Yes,
right?
Yes. And
so you're also known for your cartooning skills.
Right. And then people in your profession tend to sometimes shortchange your abilities in your profession because you have abilities in other things. Do you identify
yes,
with that kind of?
Yes. So now, because I am out of the corporate thing, it's a different kind of challenge that I face. I'll tell you that also. So when I was in the regular corporate job, I, after a certain point of time, actually had to be very careful, because like you said, if you get into too much of cultural stuff or singing around, it's like, this guy is always doing this, which means even if you're doing your work, they will probably try to pull a fast one on you very easily.
Yes.
Yeah. And when I talk about, I think you should not really bother about that. So in when I've got into music full time, okay, I'll tell you the kind of challenges I face. So there are musicians who have been doing only music for decades, and then who is this guy, the techie who's just he's just left his IT job and he's trying to do something in music. And what does he even really know something?
Right.
This guy is, he's just, some amateur guy trying to do something. And then I only wanted to become a singer, but then I also explored composing, which was something very new. Okay. And then, believe me, there are some friends who are composers and some senior composers who actually remarked, when I got into composing. So, it's like, okay, now you don't need us, you are okay, you are on your own kind of stuff. So I said, no, I mean, you're all legends. I'm just trying to do something small. I think you have to turn a deaf ear to all these things, in especially in arts, film, and all. You get to hear a lot of people talking all kinds of bad things. In fact, almost everybody talks bad about everybody, but then in front, everybody is like, wow, you're the greatest person I've seen, and all that. I think it's only important to focus on what you want to do, and people will anyway talk. I think you eventually develop, you become thick-skinned. You don't let all that affect you. So I don't get affected by whatever people say. And as long as you are constantly improving, you're focused on what you want to do, I think all that doesn't affect.
Right.
People may criticize, people may fail to, people may not even acknowledge your work. People don't acknowledge. A lot of the people see, artists say that, you have to encourage artists. But then I often ask this question. A lot of artists don't encourage other artists because, people are selfish. People want to only push themselves up. They want to push the other people down. I think it's the same thing in any corporate or any field. So people will always talk bad. There is always somebody who will talk bad. There's always somebody who will talk good. And I think the bigger you grow, all these voices will get drowned. The more you do and show, I think those voices drown and they don't matter.
Right.
It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me. Maybe I've become very thick-skinned, or it doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, I'm only focused on what I want to learn every day and how better I'm getting. So keep doing your great work. So Sujit is a great scholar. He's a doctorate from IISc, and he's a professor. He's a lot of things. A great friend from a couple of decades. Thank you, Sujit, for joining.
Thank you. Thanks for the
Thank you so much, Sujit, sir, for such an amazing question. Any other questions before I request Anil sir to sing a couple of lines for us? Okay, we're not getting any questions. May I please request you?
Hello.
Oh, yes,
Hello.
Veena, go ahead. Ji, Veena ji, puchiye.
Sir, you have said in the first point only, in the first your webinar, that for a new thing, for learning new things, we have to develop our brain which has not used. How we can develop that brain, as like Abdul Kalam has done, Veena, and where the wrestlers has one wrestler has also done, another singing pattern, and one more, there is one name who has footballer, then also he has sing. How we can develop our mind in that field?
Yeah, Banab, hi Veena. So what I meant was, you're doing something. So maybe I was a techie, I was a software engineer, but by learning music, by learning singing, by learning to play the piano or any instrument, in the process of that learning, I developed my skills. When you're learning a new thing, automatically you develop new areas in your brain. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
I hope that's clear, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
By learning new things, it's very simple. Yeah. So if I don't know cooking, so I don't know cooking. Okay, that's something that though I love eating, I don't know cooking. My wife, always tells me that I should learn cooking. It's something that I really love to do, but I feel that will probably trigger my thinking in new ways. So by trying to learn new things, you will automatically develop different facets of your brain.
Okay. Means this phase will be in the process of while learning the new things only. Our brain enhance in different level.
It see the brain keeps developing as long as you're learning anything. Yeah. Just yesterday I got a forward saying after the age of 40 or 45, it's important to keep learning something so that your brain does not age. So I think as long as you're learning anything, there is something happening, something good happening to your brain. And but I know people who think, now I know everything, I don't need to learn, I will only I know everything under the sun. So we all might have seen people like that who are confident about everything, who know everything. But if you're a student always, so there are 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds who are still learning. Yeah, I think if you're like that, your brain is constantly being developed, and learning different things will help you to develop it in a very different way. This is my experience.
Okay, sir.
Thank you so much, Veena ji, for such an amazing session. Sir,
Thank
one
you.
little request. We would love to hear a couple of lines from your end, please. It would be an absolute pleasure to hear you sing.
All right. Yeah.
I am. Yeah, go ahead, sir. I'm just trying to, yeah.
I'll sing a few lines of a Kishore Kumar song. हमें तुमसे प्यार कितना ये हम नहीं जानते, मगर जी नहीं सकते तुम्हारे बिना। हमें तुमसे प्यार कितना ये हम नहीं जानते, मगर जी नहीं सकते तुम्हारे बिना। सुना गम जुदाई का उठाते हैं लोग, जाने जिंदगी कैसे बिताते हैं लोग। दिन भी यहाँ तो लगे बरस के समान, हमें इंतजार कितना ये हम नहीं जानते, मगर जी नहीं सकते तुम्हारे बिना। हमें तुमसे प्यार।
Thank you so much,
Was
sir.
that okay?
It was amazing. Thank you so much. I think
Thank
a big
you.
round of applause goes
Thank you
in
so much.
for sir for
Thank
that.
you so much for staying on, and I hope there was at least a point or two that you could make note of and let me know.
Sir. Wonderful, sir. Really appreciate your super session, and I think a lot of takeaways for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the invite. It's a privilege. Thank you so much. Thank
We
you.
would look forward for your next session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Minu and Rajvi for the invite. Thank you, Brain Rhyme and Master Prak. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir.
Thank you, everyone
Thank you.
who all participated in this event and stayed with us. My handfold apologies that we stretched along the time that we promised to you. But I hope that time was beautiful, and I hope you all enjoyed today's session. Looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow, same time, 8:30 p.m. And we'll be talking about climate, a total different topic from what it was today, but I'm sure you're going to enjoy that as well. So see you all tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. for Master Track Day 2. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in, and it was a pleasure having each one of you over here. Thank you so much.